Hey, this is Madeline Sklar.
And Suze Cooper, and you're listening to All Things Audio.
Hello, Suze. Happy 100.
Happy 100! We did it!
Pretty amazing, right?
How awesome is this?
It's quite awesome. You know, we didn't have any high expectations. It was really just me approaching you saying, hey, I love this new Spaces thing. And, all we hear about is Clubhouse and Twitter Spaces and other social audio. Wouldn't it be fun to start a space together and we just come together each week and talk about it? I mean, you're the only person I thought of for this. If you had said, oh, I don't know if I could do this, I don't think I would have done it, honestly. Because I was trying to think of the smartest audio person I knew, and it was you.
Oh, that's very kind of you. No, there was absolutely no plan when this started out. I'd love to say there was a long-term, let's follow this social audio thing around on Spaces and really get to grips with it. But there wasn't. It was literally, let's learn about this in a live environment, learn as much as we can, share as much as we can. And we've met some fabulous people along the way, haven't we? So it's been amazing. It really has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And very quickly we realized, let's turn this into a podcast. It didn't take us long to go that route.
No. Oh, no. I think we did 2 or 3 that weren't recorded, or at least that weren't put out as podcasts. I think I was always trying to record it. So I've probably got bits of it using the iRig, using the Zoom, just recording it locally, trying to use my phone. I mean, there were loads of different ways we had set up that we were trying to get it to work. But and then from then on, it was a podcast as well. So I reckon, 100 spaces for sure. And maybe a few more podcasts, but a couple that weren't released maybe.
Yeah, for sure. But man, 100, I'm just wowed by this milestone.
I am a bit as well. It's a bit crazy. It is a bit crazy. Look at all the wonderful people we have in our space
all of our
right
friends
now.
Are here.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi,
hello. I messaged lots of you and said, please come and join us, because what would be the point of All Things Audio without all of you lovely people? And lots of you at different times have dropped by, you've shared your knowledge, you've embraced the community as well. And, this space is nothing without the listeners and without those of you that have added your thoughts and shared your knowledge as well. So we're so grateful to you, and we couldn't imagine doing episode 100 without you. So thank you for being here. We really couldn't have kept on top of everything without those of you that are our little background co-host group. You know who you are. You're Morgan, you're Michael, you're Jennifer. We absolutely adore the fact that you pour in stuff to us each week. We have a little chat about it. It means we can help formulate our thoughts around it. Andrew, you're on the line as well. Paul, you're always sending me stuff. Ho, Celine, there's a lot of you. It's just been incredible. And I think this is really where I feel like the true value of Spaces has really come into its own. It's not just about a weekly space. It's about the friends, truly the friends that I have made through Spaces, and this wonderful space that we have created for everybody. And I really enjoy that. So why wouldn't you do that every week, right? Well, today is going to sound a little different to usual. Me and Madeline do have some news, because what would we be without it? So we are going to race through a few things that we've caught up with throughout the week. But then we are going to open the mics super early today, because we just want a big chat with everybody that's here. And just to hear from you. So we're going to start with a tweet from Morgan that we saw during the week. Madeline, this bit of news is actually not a great bit of news for the start of our 100th space, but Twitter's taken away the Spaces tab from the navigation bar. What's going on?
Yeah, that was a big surprise that all of a sudden it was no longer in the navigation. It moved over to the sidebar. But for those of us with Twitter Blue, we have that ability to customize our navigation. So for a bit of time, we couldn't even do it in there. Because I have Twitter Blue. I went into the custom navigation. It was gone. I thought, this is odd. But then later, I was able to go back to it. So I don't know. That was really strange. Why would they mess with discoverability?
I know. It seems like the absolute last thing they should be messing with, yeah? I mean, if they're really backing Spaces and it's going to keep being maintained and looked after. It's really not my night tonight, is it? Start again. If they're really backing Spaces and they really want to be going for this, then why remove it from one of those kind of thumb stopping spaces along the bottom where people are just able to tap it. I mean, we always said, even if people didn't necessarily know what it was, if they tapped on it and stumbled upon it, that had to be a good thing. Anything that removes people discovering spaces, I'm not sure that's a good choice.
I agree 100%. But there was a tweet from Andrea Conway, who works at Twitter, back in March, that they were making some changes for a while. It's like they can't make up their mind. They move it away, they bring it back, they move it away again. Just a reminder for everybody, spacesdashboard.com is always your best bet. It's reliable. It's always there for you to do searches for spaces. No, this is not a sponsored ad. We just love Andrew and his team because they provide a very valuable resource if you're trying to discover spaces. So, Suze, every time these things happen, I'm just like, yeah, it just makes me use Spaces Dashboard more.
So, yeah, I mean, we were expecting it, and it is still in a place where you would find it quite easily, kind of on your menu. But if you've been used to using it from just that bottom navigation bar, it is a change. As you say, like if you've got Twitter Blue, you can choose to put it back in. There was a glitch with that initially, wasn't there, where people couldn't do that? Has that been sorted now?
Yeah, it seems to be now. So I don't know. Things are always changing every day at Twitter. Sometimes I just don't know what to make of this. I don't know how many people noticed, but earlier today, Twitter just stopped working for a period of time. I was on mobile, not one of those usual times. I talk about how I'm always on the web with Twitter, but it was just one of those times I was actually on mobile. And Suze, it wasn't loading tweets on people's profiles. And it's like, okay. And then I'm over at the Threads app and Jane Wong was like, can people see my Twitter? And I'm like, oh, she must be talking about when it was down for a bit. And, I don't know what to make of it. There's just always something going on here at Twitter. I'm just glad Spaces is working today. At least that's okay, right? Well, we have to bring up this new Threads app, but we'll keep it short and brief. I think next week when we're at episode 101, we'll talk more into it. Plus, it's only a week old, right? Seems like it hasn't been around that long. Many of us are still trying to figure out what to do with it. But you shared a really great tweet a few days ago, just kind of giving some thoughts with, would social audio work with this and how would they bring it in and make it different?
Yeah, I mean, can you believe it's only been around a week? It made such a massive noise. It was on national news over here. It was everywhere. Everybody has been talking about Threads. And I guess I was asked a few times. I mean, we sort of covered it a little tiny bit last week about whether or not they would add social audio. And I kind of went away and thought about it a little bit more and thought about why they might and thought about why they might not. And it ended up in this mega long tweet right here, which is kind of an overview of my thoughts. I mean, in terms of audio, Meta hasn't exactly backed it because we saw them roll out with Facebook. Yes, we're going to have podcasts, we're going to have audio rooms for groups, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. And then within 12 months, they pulled the rug on all of that and it really wasn't going to happen. And that makes me feel like it wasn't ticking some boxes for them. And as I say in this mega tweet here, potentially it doesn't do what Meta needs these features to do, which is it doesn't give them data. They want data. Everything they do is about what can they find out about the users so that potentially they can then sell that information or have advertisers use that information to sell their products and all that kind of thing. And it feels just a little bit like perhaps audio didn't tick that box for them. It certainly didn't seem to do it for them on Facebook. So why would they add it to Threads? Not sure. So yeah, it's still very much an open question. I'm not saying they're not going to do it. I'm just trying to weigh up the balances of why they might or why they might not. And I would definitely love to hear other people's views on it. But yeah, this was just kind of the first thoughts. And as you say, Madeline, we can dive deeper into it next week.
Yeah, I think since it's so new, we can hold off a little bit because we really want to hear from our community with our 100th episode. But it is definitely something that I think everybody should sign up for and at least have it. It is doing quite well, over 100 million downloads. People are using it, but it's still so new that we're all trying to figure out what to do with it. And I'm still trying to figure out, because I don't want to just copy and paste my tweets and put them in there. I think that's pointless. So I think we all have to figure out what's our best use for it. But yeah, I'd love to dive in deeper next week. And I'm sure we'll know way more by then, a whole week. Things move so fast.
Don't they? don't they? They really do. Mind you, you did get quite a good result, didn't you, while you were over there flying around, sending different threads in different places. Who noticed us, Madeline?
I was so excited about this. So I've just been having a ball playing around in threads, and Streamyard, I connected with them on there, and they had done a thread post saying, like, are you a podcaster? We're looking for some new podcasts. Share a link to yours. So I'm like, well, opportunity. So I put a link to our All Things Audio podcast, because I really think it's so important that we all have to remember, as much as we like to be pushing out our content on social media, it's just as important to just stop and listen and connect with people. After all, that's what social media is about. Don't make it a one-way street where it's just post, 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 post. Also, get on there and listen and talk to people. So in this case, I was paying close attention, especially to some of these brands that were jumping on threads, being that it's brand new. I saw that. I thought, well, there's an opportunity. That's where attention pays off. So I did a link, and they came back and said that we just followed you on Apple Podcasts. So that was exciting. I wasn't expecting that. So I shared that I made a little video, shared it with you, and I thought, I'll put a tweet out showing that as well to everybody. It just shows that importance of paying attention. I think it's incredibly important that we all could do more. I mean, I'm guilty of it too. We could all be doing that more when we're on social media.
So this next tweet is from Nima Algi. We've not heard from him in a while. This is a bit of reverse engineering, I believe, and he's suggesting that Twitter is adding the ability to speak in spaces on the desktop. Now, we've had lots of desktop news. Last week was stacked full of it, with emoji reactions coming to desktop. So this is going to be the next step. I mean, do we know kind of when, or is this literally we've seen this in the background and they're still thinking about it? What do you think, Madeline?
We don't know exactly when this is coming, but it keeps getting brought up. So it's making us believe like this is probably the next big thing coming for Twitter Spaces. So, I can't stress enough how important this feature is for many of us, especially those of us that are audio geeks and podcasters. We've asked for this since the beginning. I certainly have. I can remember back when I first became a beta host, and they DM me and give us a laundry list of all the things you would love to see with Spaces. That was way top of my list, the ability for us to speak on desktop. So as a podcaster, I would love that. Plus, you're going to open up more people who are like me that use desktop more than mobile. I know majority is mobile. I get it. There's still a good number of people that primarily use desktop. And you're leaving that whole group out, not being able to speak. We would probably see more mic requests, more people coming on. I can tell you in the beginning, it would be very frustrating in the early days, where it'd be like before we were conditioned to always go on mobile for Spaces. And I would be listening to one on desktop while I'm working, and they would talk about something like, oh, I got to jump into this conversation, request the mic. So I have to go get my phone, open the app, go to the space, and be like, oh man, why can't I just hit the button on desktop and make it super easy? So I think that'll eliminate, a little bit of friction there that some of us keep enduring. And the last item is a tweet that we've got from Twitter, Twitter employee, showing some screenshots of them testing audio and video calls in the DM. So interesting that this is something they're working on to just open up a whole another world of like being able to jump into the DMs and go, you know what? I just would like to have an audio call with somebody. I don't even want to be on video. I just want to chat. Like, Suze, I could, in the past, we would sometimes use something like WhatsApp. And I feel like this is going to replace WhatsApp for some people.
Yeah, I mean, this could really change. This really changes what the app is, right? Like, does this then leap out of social media, or I guess this is all part of that grand Elon plan of this being the one app to rule them all, the X app, to do all the things. I mean, I'm not sure we need a thing to do all the things, if I'm honest, because I think, if you try and be a jack of all trades, you're probably the king of none, but it's potentially going to happen. We're already using those voice notes in the DMs. I find that quite useful. We've exchanged some, sometimes it's way easier than typing when you've got a whole heap of stuff to say. So I guess, again, this is the next step for it. But whether or not Twitter really needs that, watch this space. Well, or listen to it.
Especially when we keep running into issues with the functionality of Twitter as a whole, when it's not working all that well, it's not super stable. That's why it's just, make it stable, make it work great, stop going down, stop having little issues, and then, do some of these big grand things. But like this X app, but it's be interesting to see how all this plays out, Suze. And who knows, it might not be called Twitter Spaces anymore. It might be called X Spaces. So, well, we'll report on it first. You can come here.
We will be here, ready to talk about all of it. Well, that is the end of the news section for today, which I think is quite possibly, out of the 100 spaces, the quickest we've ever done it. So well done us. Please do request the mic. We would love to hear from you. I'm putting together for my request the mic while I'm chatting. Please do. I'm going to be putting together for my Substack this week, Stop, Rewind, Play. I'm doing 100 things I learned from 100 spaces. So if anyone's interested in that kind of stuff, then that will be in the Substack later this week. And while I've been looking at that, I was also looking at kind of some of the stats and the facts around all things audio and the podcast and the space. And it's been really interesting, Madeline. We've seen so many different changes. We've seen things come and go. We've had voice changes and sound palettes. We've been able to clip audio. We've had the podcast tab. We had captions and then they went away. We've got intro music that nobody likes. And yeah, it has changed so wildly from what it started out being. And I was looking a little bit as well at our stats, Madeline. And so the space we've had with the least participants in it was on September the 29th, 2021, where we had 5 participants, which is quite low. And I couldn't tell you what the title was for that, because that was way back when I used to change the title at the end of the space to direct everyone to the website to listen to the podcast, which I used to do until Hosteline told me that those tweet cards would be demoted because I was sending people off the platform. Thank you, Hosteline. So I don't do that anymore. Most people that we ever had in an all things audio space was 404 participants on November the 9th, 2022. And that was when the title was, Is This the End for Twitter Spaces? Social audio news, all things audio. I wonder why that had so much attention.
I can only guess.
So yeah, it's just super interesting. And also for everybody else that hosts spaces, even in 100 spaces, we've had ones where there's just a handful of people, but it's still worth having the chat, right, Madeline? It's still worth showing up. It's still worth being there.
Absolutely, 100%.
Who have we got with the mic, Madeline?
So first up, we have Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hello to you both and to everyone, and happy 100th episode. This is really exciting.
Thank you for being here.
And thank you for being part of our community for so long.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. And thank you for letting me be part of the community and to sort of be a reporter for the program and fill in host at times. It's been a lot of fun. And this is really, truly one thing each week that I look forward to participating in, listening into at least, if not able, sharing my thoughts on things. So thanks so much for having this program, 100 episodes, hopefully many more. And I will hang around for the ride as long as I can. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Michael. It's been a pleasure. So lovely to have met you through All Things Audio and to have learnt so much from you. And we're so grateful to you for all your roving reporting.
Yeah. And, I was thinking, it seems like the best relationships are the ones where you can't pinpoint when it started. It's just all of a sudden was. And I feel like that with the both of you. It's just I'm not sure how we connected or when. It's just all of a sudden, we were a community. We were a crew. So it's really great. And it's a pleasure to know you, not just to listen in on your program. Thanks a lot.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same way. And yeah, it's I don't remember exactly when we met, but it was through this community and you've been such a great part of it. And I think one of the keys for the way Suze and I have done this, and we got to the 100 in a little over 2 years, is that we're consistent. Consistency is so important. when you're building community. Even though we did not say to ourselves in the beginning, like, hey, Suze, let's go start a community. Let's do spaces and build this community. It was, let's come together and talk about social audio, which is something her and I are both interested in. And I talk about this a lot when I'm explaining social media to people and social audio and community and connection, is that many times community is what comes from your efforts. When I think of all the spaces that I'm hosting right now, each one of them has a different motivation. And these motivations are just, for me, is around educating people. And in that process, I'm helping to create a new community from the people that show up that are like-minded. It really shows that you've connected with great people when we end up with this family, our All Things Audio family, because that's how I see you all. So thank you so much for being a part of it. Next up is Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer.
Hello, and congratulations on 100 episodes. Woohoo!
Woo! Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you.
And I'll echo what Michael said, because I think the beauty of what we've discovered here is really the ability to lean into the things that we're kind of geeky about and have other people go, oh, that's amazing, because they're as geeky about it. And it is a whole heck of a lot of fun to live and breathe in that space and watch it grow and learn more, not only about everyone that we're engaged with here, but I'm also learning about myself in new ways because of those interactions. So thank you so much for being consistent, for doing these shows week after week, for inviting the community to be a part of it, because that's what you've done. It isn't like you and Sue said, we're going to do this thing and it's ours, and you held it with a tight, closed fist. You both actually opened up your hands and said, hey, welcome everybody, come on in, let's do this thing together. And so you're leading the charge and you're captaining and navigating the ship, but you're open to receiving input and anything that we have to offer so that it is for the greater good. So thanks.
Thank you, Jennifer. Next up is Rose. Hey, Rose.
Hi, everyone. So great to be here, and congratulations. Really, it's a great milestone, and just want to echo, I guess, what everyone is saying, but also to say that you've provided a space that is really needed because of all the craziness that has gone on in social audio. And so that when you had 400 people on that November show, it was because everybody was, questioning, what's going to happen tomorrow. And this provided a place that we could all exchange ideas and learn. And I know I've learned about Clubhouse from Michael. Learned a lot about, just today, I didn't know that Twitter was thinking, there might be desktop for Twitter, which is really interesting. So it's really a place that, maybe for geeks, but also in the way you welcome people. And I know that when I've spoken in this space, often Madeline will put out a tweet and, thank people who came up to speak. And that's really very inclusive. And I think that's how, part of the success of how you've grown this community. And just thinking back, I think I was part of one of the spaces where you talked, before you had called it All Things Audio, you were talking about what to name it. And I think I was part of that discussion. And I can't remember what I suggested, but I know that you went with All Things Audio. So, congratulations. Keep going, and definitely, making it open, making it accessible, making it newsy, which, you do your homework before you come on, you have something to share, is what's made this space so accessible and successful.
Thank you, Rose. Appreciate all that.
I do remember that thread. I do remember asking for ideas for what we should call it. Yes. And
it must have been a year ago. When did you?
Well, so
before a year.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So we've been going 14th of April, 2021 is the first kind of properly organized Notion boarded show that we did on Spaces. So that was 2021. And yeah, so we're at 100 episodes, 100 shows. We have been relatively consistent every single week. I think the weeks that we've missed, Madeline, generally have been through either illness, family event, I mean, COVID got in the way and I think we stopped for Christmas. But apart from that, we've been here pretty much every Wednesday. So yeah, it's a good 2 years, and what a ride it's been. But I do remember putting out the call for what do we call this thing? So even from the very beginning, we wanted other people's input into what this could become and even what it could be called.
Thank you for all the kind words and being part of this awesome community. Next up, we have Morgan. Hey, Morgan.
Hi, both. I'm going to just say the same thing as everybody else. A huge thank you for this. I mean, you keep mentioning consistency. That's absolutely right. That I think we probably, all of us have seen many things come and go in the last couple of years, and friends too. I mean, one of the wonderful things, I said it in my tweet, is social audio really is the friends we made along the way. And I think that this has been the most consistent part of that for me over the last 2 years. And that's really wonderful. Like Michael, it's something I look forward to every week. And not just friendship, we make sense of things together. Again, every week I learn something from somebody here who has a thought. And that to me is really wonderful too. So thank you for making that possible. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts. And I really hope that I'm fairly sure we have, we've created a space where everybody's ideas are welcome. No one's saying that they know exactly what's right, what's wrong, what's going to happen in the future. But anybody's ideas and anybody's thoughts on something, we're non-judgmental. We'll hear it, we'll listen to it, we'll talk about it a little bit. See, a little bit like when Paul asked last week, will Threads add social audio? And I kind of went away and thought about it a little bit more, and it turned into a blog post and an Instagram thing and and that massive long Twitter splat. And there's still more to come on that. But that's just because someone planted the seed, asked the question. And, that I think, again, that's something that I don't get anywhere else. I get it right here in Spaces.
Oh, I love what he said. We make sense of things together. I literally just tweeted that, Morgan, because that is just so profound. I really like that. It sums it up. What this is about is we make sense of things together and we become friends along the way. It's great.
And let's face it, a lot of stuff hasn't made sense along the way, right?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Morgan, for joining us and being such a big part of our community here. You're always on top of things, even though you're across the pond from us in the U.S. You definitely live on U.S. time, because I just always can't believe, like, nighttime here, you're still tweeting about stuff you're uncovering on social audio. And I'm like, does he ever sleep? And then I figured you must just be on U.S. time zone over there.
Yeah, there's that. I also try and call in when I'm in train stations or.
Yeah.
So this is the social audio life. We're trying to live it.
Yeah, for sure. And it is so interesting that, like, you're always like finding everything about everything that has to do with social audio. And I find it so interesting, like, oh my gosh, he found that before I did. Because I have like these Twitter lists. I'm a huge fan of setting up your own private Twitter list for your eyes only of very specific accounts so you can stay on top of certain things, right? I have one that helps me stay on top of all things Twitter, so that when I'm talking about all these brand new things, and so many times it's like, oh, I haven't looked at my list. It's like it'll be a tweet that you share from somebody who's on one of my lists. I just haven't gotten to the list yet to check it to see, is there anything new that I need to be made aware of? So I just love how you are so on top of everything with what's new with Twitter, what's new with Spaces, what's new with social audio in general. So that definitely brings us all together as like-minded people. And I love that you're like that. And so many of our friends here are like that as well. Next up, I see Jason from Bunsen and Beaker made it back in. So Jason, let's go ahead and have you on. Hi.
Hello. Hey, I made your middle of the day show. I don't think I've ever come to one because I've been teaching.
Right.
And it's the summer. I do sometimes listen to the recordings, and I do follow both of you for audio news. And echoing what everybody else said, just thank you so much for having this for something I really fell into by accident, and now it's a big part of what I do for our community. So thanks.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for your support. I know you're always there when we've tweeted stuff out about the spaces, and, we can tell that you're a replay listener. You're commenting on things, you're replying to stuff, and it's just so great to have your support. Thanks so much.
And next up we have Andrew. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, you two. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It only seems like yesterday.
It does, doesn't it?
It really does. And I'm going to sound a little bit like a repeat record with what Morgan and Michael said, but you can really, really get a sense of how much you enjoy something is those very few moments when you do cancel a space. It leaves a massive hole on a Wednesday evening. I really look forward to it. And it really gives a sense of how much the great work you two are doing. Because when you're not on, Wednesdays aren't the same. They really, really aren't. So long may you keep doing what you do. You're both amazing. And thank you.
Oh, Wednesday just isn't Wednesday without all things audio. I know it completely messes up my week if we don't do one.
Absolutely. And we got Robert Hanna here. Hey, Robert. So glad you joined us.
Hey, both. And obviously I'm going to say congratulations to you. But I want to say why I'm here, because I think there's an important message. I am not an regular attendee of this space, but I had the best experience once I was interviewed, where you very kindly invited me to talk about LinkedIn, which is where I spend more of my time. And I think there's a real power of connection through audio and relationships. And when Suze reached out to me, it was a real refreshing reminder of actually how great I enjoyed my time here and the community you built. And I absolutely wanted to come along and congratulate you and learn and just say, I think there's something magical about audio that we can all get through connecting with one another. So I just wanted to share that and congratulate you both and say, I've been doing podcasting for a long time. Consistency is not easy. I think people can chuck it around and say we're consistent, but you have to juggle things. Life happens, things go wrong, left, right, and center. And I admire what you've built. And here's to another 100 episodes and beyond. But thank you for having me and keep doing great work.
Thanks so much, Rob. It's so good to have you here. And, we have had guests on over the couple of years, but certainly you coming by and chatting to us about LinkedIn audio, was very, very memorable. And as you say, it was one of those hours, I mean, they all fly by, but it was one of those hours where the conversation just really took off. And again, we've all connected since then on Twitter and also over on LinkedIn. And it's built a relationship and further the community. So, thank you so much for coming on when you did and chatting to us about LinkedIn audio and for being here today as well. We're so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Well, we have such a great group of speakers here sharing with us today. I'm curious, with you, Suze, and our speakers here, what do you think is next for social audio? Where do you think this is going to go? I mean, Threads, you speculated, gave some great ideas in that tweet you did the other day. It'll be interesting for sure, but what do you think is going to be next?
I honestly don't know. My fear is that Elon, in making this the app of all things, adds video to what is currently our favourite audio-only feature, and it becomes a live stream like we would see it anywhere else on YouTube. I really hope that doesn't happen, because I really feel like audio-only has a very special quality that isn't really enhanced by video, if I'm honest. And so, that's my fear for it. My hope for it is that Elon sees the value in what we do here and in these spaces and starts to put some energy back into it, starts to maintain this, starts to give us the confidence in the platform again, which, let's face it, for the last year or so, it's been, from is this going to continue to literally the maintenance and stability of spaces within the app. All of it feels like shaky ground. So what I would like to see is them to put a little bit more energy into it, be a little bit more proactive in getting people to use it again and supporting those people who do use it frequently, because we're not the only ones that will have done 100 spaces or anything like that, or people that are doing things regularly. And most certainly, there are people who have hundreds of thousands of people in their spaces. And so, if they are truly going to continue to build this. That would really be my hope for it. Yeah. What about you?
Oh, I agree with everything you just said. I mean, definitely. I would like to see more put into it. You know, before Elon purchased Twitter, we really got to feel the importance that the team placed on Spaces. They kept doing those weekly town halls. They were always listening to our thoughts, our questions. They had hashtags where they were keeping track of feedback and bugs. They were very invested in this tool. I haven't felt that same way since Elon took over, because we're not being communicated with regularly as to what's going on, where's this headed, where's it going. There's been times you and I are getting ready to start the weekly show and we're like, is it going to work today? Is it going to work? Do we need, I know a few times we're like, should we have a Clubhouse set up as a backup? It doesn't give you a lot of hope in like, where is this going from here when we're just so unsure? I'm just glad it still works and we're here. This is where I prefer to be. If Threads starts adding some kind of audio platform to it, that could very well sway me to want to start moving the discussion over there.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I just want to understand what the idea is with what their roadmap is with Spaces, really, which, you know, we were privy to stuff which in previous years when people built apps and developed stuff, you wouldn't have known what was going to happen with it. But as we've seen here, right here today, everyone's saying this space has built a community, we've built these relationships. And that is exactly what happened with us and the Spaces team, because they used it to build a community, to build the function, the feature. And, you know, and because of that, once that was gone, we really felt a sense of loss over that. And in the same way that it sounds as though people would if we stopped doing this altogether, you know, there would be a gaping hole. And that's how we all felt when that engineering team disappeared. So I think that is a testament to the power of Spaces. Michael, I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I have so many. Yeah, so the future of social audio, I've been thinking about this a little bit more this last week since Threads was launched, because I will tell you, as your sort of Clubhouse reporter for all things audio, that there's a lot of discussion, a buzz around Clubhouse right now about Threads. A number of rooms running a long time with lots of people in them about how to use this, how to do that. Sharks circling for this new platform. But one thing I think that a lot of us on Clubhouse are finding is that Threads is sort of the Twitter for our Clubhouse, like Twitter has been for Twitter Spaces. And so we've found sort of this great new way for all of us around Clubhouse to communicate with each other that Clubhouse didn't have a way to do, had not built, or whatever the case may be. And so my prognostication here going forward from the 100th episode is that maybe we should keep our eyes on Threads and Clubhouse and interesting things that could happen with the both of them in the future. So thanks a lot.
Oh, I like your take.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thank you, Michael. That's very, very thought-provoking. Jennifer, what have you got to say?
So as everybody goes after the hot, new, sexy threads, I want to pull everybody back to the 50,000 foot view and remind everyone that Meta / Mark Zuckerberg is in control of Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And we all talk about us building on rented land, even Twitter. So be mindful of building everything where one entity controls, in essence, everything that you do, because a flip of a switch, a push of a button, and it could all be taken away, which is true of any place except, decentralized Web3. But just be mindful, we are creators. And while it is something to take a look at, and I've kind of poked around a little bit over there and I can understand all the attention, it kind of reminds me of what Twitter was back in the early 2007, 2008 era, very, very early, where I've been seeing a lot of people. So less algorithm, more just one-to-one or one-to-many. So I'm excited about this. And then going back to the piece about video, this is something that podcasting has done before. Let's just say that social audio is like podcasting, very similar. in the early days of podcasting, it was all about the audio, and all of a sudden, and there was video podcasting back then, but then there was all of a sudden this attention very specific towards video podcasting. And then all of a sudden that died down. And then podcasting, audio podcasting has been on this slow burn. So we're seeing this happen again with podcasting, where all of a sudden it's got to be video podcasting, got to do video podcasting. And yet audio podcasting is still here. My concern / experience tells me that if Twitter is going to start reviving Periscope, which I'm a fan of, I think that's great, but in place of something like a true, just leaving spaces as is, and not just adding Periscope, but all of a sudden replacing maybe Periscope with social audio or spaces with Periscope, then that's going to be a sad day where we don't just have a straight audio platform, because it's going to come back around. Video is going to get old and tired. People are going to get tired of that, and they're going to go back to audio. So keeping audio in place is the smart play. And I can look at the years of experience. I have 18 years of podcasting experience. I can see what's happened in traditional podcasting. And when I look at what's happening in social audio, I see a lot of the same things. So be mindful, folks. 1, don't put all your eggs in one basket. 2, yeah, video is going to be the hot new thing, but don't leave audio behind, because yet here it still is.
Yeah, great reminder, Jennifer. Thank you. Yeah, I'd like to point out to everyone that radio is still a thing as well. So audio most definitely is not just going to disappear and die, right? Rose, hello. What have you got to say to us about the future of social audio? What are your thoughts?
I agree that, our future is that we should protect our future, as Jennifer said, with having our own websites being on the blockchain. But also, with what Michael said, is that in the last, it's just been a week, but I have seen more interesting discussions, a lot more people on Clubhouse, often going to Clubhouse. I just see so much more activity there. I mean, I don't think the discoverability is easy there, because I don't know, for a few days when they were going to houses or something, I couldn't find anything. But I think that because Instagram has, 1 billion followers, the Threads is now, anybody who, like when I got on Threads, I agreed to follow everybody that I'm already following on Instagram. So it's like this automatic audience. And Clubhouse has always been more linked to Instagram than to Twitter. So you're getting, it's like Twitter versus Instagram and Facebook. It's sort of two different animals, I think, in some ways. And I'm really not seeing how people. I'm glad to hear that Streamline, did that thread, but I haven't seen many interesting threads so far. But I haven't been spending as much time on there. But I have posted, and I'm trying to figure out how to make that different. But I think that Clubhouse is having a resurgence.
Interesting take.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as Madeline said as well, we generally, anyone who uses lots of social media platforms doesn't want to just throw the same information on every platform. That's kind of not what you're meant to do. You need to understand the audience for each platform. Of course, with Threads, we don't really know the audience yet, because it's literally being built around us in this new way that all apps appear to now be built, in this very agile, let's sort of shift the sands and build it while people are using it. So I think it's going to be a while before anyone kind of really understands who the audience is, what content really works over there. And whether or not they'll introduce audio into their mix is anybody's guess at the moment. But yeah, thank you very much for your comments. Michael, I think your hand was first, and then we'll go to Jason.
Yeah, so when it comes to social audio, Clubhouse specifically, there were all these rooms about Threads, and people in the chat were leaving their link to their Thread profile. And so actually in the last week on Clubhouse, you've seen a lot of the very active Clubhouse community linking up with each other very actively on Threads. And so I really am interested in looking at this dynamic and how Threads has sort of very quickly become the Twitter for Clubhouse, like Twitter has been for Twitter Spaces. So I'll pass the mic.
I love that. Great take on it. Who was next before? Was it Jason real quick before we move over to Jocelyn?
I think video is coming, whether we like it or not, just because the big push by the biggest social media giants like TikTok TikTok has like 4.5 billion users or something like that. And then I believe Instagram is next with billions. And then Twitter's like 450 million or something like that. And those platforms are really pushing video. And as a creator, I'm still kicking myself for not like sucking it up and learning video back when like TikTok and Instagram, when TikTok started and when Instagram started to move reels. I was like, that's not for me, but I'm really kicking myself. So I feel like that may be coming, and this is just wild speculation, just because that's what people want. And I hope they have an option where you can just turn your camera off and just have a audio only space. That would be the great happy medium. You can have a video space or turn your camera off and it's a audio space.
I imagine that's what's going to happen. I can't imagine them not having that. And when you think back to when we had more of a live stream capability through Twitter, and right now you can even do it on mobile where you can turn off the camera. Technically, you can live stream on Twitter right now on your phone, and you tap to turn off the camera and it just becomes live audio.
Yeah, so the live video is awful though. Have you tried it?
Oh yeah. It's the old Periscope. It's terrible. But they're working they're good. They're working on it. They're going to make it, with the times instead of like this old back when the technology wasn't great. I mean, they've already done some work on that because there are some of these live streams now that Twitter is supporting where the quality is amazing. I don't think they've rolled it out to everyone yet. But it's coming. It's definitely coming. But they would do a total disservice if we were not able to just have audio only as part of that. And Jocelyn, welcome. Great having you here.
¿Qué pasa? Long-time listener, occasional contributor, and always listener, whether I'm on live or not, incognito or not. So yes. So first of all, of course, one of the few people that loves this. Giving you guys your flowers for all the consistency, ups and downs, reporting the news as you see it collectively as a community. And great to see the familia here in the various avatars of whether real or emoji-like. So super excited to contribute and be a part of the familia. Couple things. Threads in particular. There's something that not many people are talking about, which connects with what Jennifer was talking about earlier, which is this. Are you guys familiar with ActivityPub? ActivityPub is a decentralized social network. And it is a protocol that was incorporated amongst other platforms like Mastodon. But Mastodon is, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. If I'm not, forgive me. But amongst many others, it was one of the most notable that incorporated this platform and allows you as a member on the protocol to be able to export your following to another, we'll call them servers, because that's the technical term. So you can move it from a Mastodon server to another or to another platform in and of itself. Adam, M, because I'm not sure how to best pronounce his last name, he mentioned at the launch of Threads that they're going to adhere to and incorporate the ActivityPub protocol into Threads, which would allow us as creators to move our existing audience on that platform to another platform. At launch, they didn't implement it, but this is something that they're seriously looking into. And if that is the case, that allows us as creators to, with some sort of confidence and some sort of skepticism of, given our first child in our DNA because it's Facebook and Meta and they collect all this data, to essentially leverage that opportunity to migrate to whatever platform we eventually decide to reside in. So that's why I'm excited about Threads in particular, because this is a lot of people are talking, the traditional social media talk about, what to do, what to post, blah, 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 blah. But there was something that's been missing in that dialogue, which is the technological infrastructure that allows them to scale not only the platform itself, but also our ability to grow as creators, which is very important. Because as I posted into the tweet down in the Spaces chat, I'm sticking to that term. Threads is the fastest growing social platform or software company in the history of all time, in history, like 100 million in 5 days. It was just broken last year by ChatGPT. And so we're getting to a faster rate of adoption. To be fair, they piggybacked off of Instagram, which is a great play. Also, for a bit of history, this isn't the first version of Threads. This is the second version of Threads. The first version of Threads, if you look at the tweet that I sent out, it was launched in October of 2019. And then they shut it down December 2021, right? So this is it's almost like how Spaces was built off of the infrastructure of Periscope. Threads was built off of the existing infrastructure. They just flipped the switch. And timing is everything, right? So I think that would be compelling. And I also think that if they do incorporate some sort of audio and video live sessions, that would be fantastic. I'm going to finish off with this. I have more to say, obviously. But going back to what Michael said regarding the migration of people in Clubhouse to Threads, Clubhouse has always been a promoter of Instagram. When you first started Clubhouse, there was no email, DM. So what do people do? Oh, go to my Instagram. So Clubhouse has done more for Instagram than Instagram has done for themselves. They've helped people migrate over there. It's kind of very funny and entertaining. But I'll end off with that. Great job. And hopefully what I said added to the conversation.
Oh, it certainly did.
Definitely. And I really want to hear Jennifer's response to it as well.
So ActivityPub also has a WordPress plugin, and ActivityPub also, it's kind of like the bridge to many different destinations or locations. And you can do cross-app comments. And in the podcasting 2.0 space, which is the future of podcasting, which integrates value for value as well as many other things in the namespace, ActivityPub is very big on that. And so there's a lot going on there to look into. I mean, I'm telling you folks, the world is in a way we're fracturing, but in that fracturing, we're also connecting in a deeper, more meaningful way. So even though people may be going to Mastodon, even though people may be going to Nostr or to, to other blockchains, or maybe just with their WordPress blog or on traditional social, the ability to bridge and to connect a lot of those pieces is really coming together. And even Elon has said that at some point you're going to be able to download all of your users. That's pretty much what's going on. They recognize that we as creators want ownership of our content and of our community. And they realize that if they don't give that to us, we're leaving, because guess what? We're already leaving. So that thing is a really big boom for us as creators. But don't wait for that permission to be given to us. We should be developing the things that we need in places where we have ownership, whether it's our own website or whether it's our username on a blockchain that is decentralized. So yeah, I'm all for that. So thanks, Jocelyn. That's good stuff to know.
Yeah, really well said, Jennifer. And I think perhaps it's about getting your head around the fact that social media isn't going to be what social media has been for the last 20 years, right? It's about this whole new world where everything is a bit more fluid and a bit more flexible and things interact a lot more easily than we've been used to.
Well, Suze, what an hour. What a power hour of fun today.
Amazing, right? Absolutely amazing. Well, I've just looked back, and on the 14th of April 2021, which was our first space, we were talking about Clubhouse enabling payments, a creator first season where they were highlighting their program finalists. Tipping was going to come to Twitter. 10 million people had reportedly downloaded the Clubhouse app, and everyone was very excited about that. Twitter Spaces had launched on both iOS and Android, and they were saying that in the end, eventually, they will be letting people natively record their spaces. So look how far we've come in 100 spaces, Madeline.
Wow, a lot's happened since then.
So much has happened. It really, really has. I think we have come to the end of our 100th space on All Things Audio. Wow. Thank you to everybody that has been here today, everybody that's had something to say, everyone that said such lovely things, everyone that's been listening. There is someone who's not here, and I cannot let our 100th space go without dedicating today's show to George Silverman, who I know would have been as excited as all of you here to be part of this, and is probably really cross that he's missed it, to be honest. So this one's for you, George. Thank you for being such a huge part of the All Things Audio space over the last 2 years. You're deeply missed. We miss you as a community. We miss you here on All Things Audio. But we carry on. Forward we go to meet more people, to tell more people about social audio, to tell people about the power of connections and relationships through talking to one another, which I know was at the core of your message every single week that you took the mic. So thank you, everybody, for being here today. Madeline, thank you for being the wonderful co-host that you are and for joining me on 100 All Things Audio Spaces. What a ride it has been.
Thank you, Suze. And all that you just said was just amazing. That is such a mic drop moment. There's nothing else I could say after that. So excellent tribute to our good friend, George Silverman, to close out this space today. Thank you all for being here and celebrating with us. We appreciate you guys so much, and we're going to continue doing this. So we'll definitely be back next week to do it all over again. Thank you to all of our speakers who came on and shared so much great stuff. And we're available in all of your favorite podcast apps. We're out there, All Things Audio. You can also go to allthingsaudiopodcast.com as well.
You certainly can. And you can catch us here on Twitter and use the hashtag AllThingsAudio, and we'll pick that up throughout the week. So that's it for this week. But thank you so much to everyone that's been here in the space with us and those of you listening. And we'll catch up with you next week.
Bye, everybody.